Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host, Belton Delane Facey.
And my name's Chris Scher.
And today is our Oscar special, which means we'll be debating an Oscar win that has been slandered, desecrated, and sentenced to the electric chair by public opinion. And one of us will tell you why it's actually pretty good.
And the other one's going to tell you why it's a steaming pile of shit.
And today we are discussing the 1993 Best Supporting Actress Award, which went to Marisa Tomei for My Cousin Vinny.
Deservedly.
Yeah, I know we say controversial. This one was more just shocking at the time.
I don't get how. I don't know how you watch My Cousin Vinny and then be like, she doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's we're looking at it with hindsight to set the scene of the 1993 ceremony, because also this was the first award of the night. It just started with a surprise. But for those of you who usually don't follow the Oscars or awards, by the time we get to the Oscars, a lot of the awards are pretty predictable. There's a bunch of Hollywood insiders, and there's some precursor awards that you can use for prediction. The main ones being Golden Globes, BAFTAs, Critics' Choice, and then all the Guild Awards. So going into the Oscar ceremony, most categories have a clear front runner. Some of them will have a bit of a two-person race. And then rarely is there a three-way split going into the ceremony. Now, in the 1993 ceremony, there was a three-woman race for Best Supporting Actress. And that was between Judy Davis for Husbands and Wives, Joan Plowright for Enchanted April, and Miranda Richardson for Damage. Each of them had won at least one precursor award, and everyone was kind of wondering who between the three of them it was going to be. And now Marisa Tomei was considered very lucky to even be nominated. She didn't have a single nomination for a major award going into the ceremony. And My Cousin Vinny is a pretty straightforward comedy, which usually doesn't get a lot of award love. So
wasn't it her debut too?
Yeah, this was her. This was her big breakout role, which, I mean, particularly for actresses, getting an award off a breakout role isn't unheard of. Like last year, Mikey Madison winning for Honora. All that combined. So, of course, everyone there was absolutely shocked when her name was announced. It was so shocking that immediately after a ceremony, a rumor widely circulated that presenter Jack Palance said the wrong name. and there were a lot of people that believed it, because, I mean, for one, if you watch the clip, he seemed drunk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was clearly struggling to read the teleprompter. He had a lot of long, awkward pauses. And there was a joke he was supposed to say before he introduced all the nominees. And then right before he was going to open the envelope, he's just like, oh, yeah, and then said the joke. Of course, that rumor has largely died down due to the fact, for Oscar wins that were very shocking at the time, this one has probably aged the best. I mean, Marisa Tomei, again, this is her breakout role. She's had a great career. My Cousin Vinny still is a very notable film. And then also, this really died because with the La La Land Moonlight incident, we now know what happens if they say the wrong name at the Oscars.
Yeah, they come back out and correct it.
yeah, and then someone gets fired. All right. So going into the films, we're gonna start with My Cousin Vinny, which, if you haven't seen it, it's about an inexperienced New York lawyer defending his cousin at an Alabama murder trial. So at the beginning of the film, college students Bill and Stan are traveling through rural Alabama. They stop at a gas station for snacks. Soon after, they're pulled over and arrested. There's a mix-up where they think they're being arrested because they took a can of tuna without paying for it. but they're actually being arrested because the clerk at the store was murdered soon after they left. So they call Bill's family for a lawyer, and they're like, "Hey, your cousin Vinny's a lawyer," and he's like, "Perfect." So Vinny rolls into town with his fiancee Lisa, who is of course played by Marisa Tomei.
Mm-hmm.
They soon find out he has no courtroom experience. He's a personal injury attorney, and it took him 6 tries to pass the bar. Which is like, when I first heard that, I'm like, oh, he's like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, a little more. I'd hire him.
Yeah, like I mean, I think of Vinny, I'm like, oh, this is a 90s New York version of Jeff Winger from Community.
But kind of like in reverse order. In the sense that he was licensed and he did it right, but then he just never actually practiced. And then Jeff was he was never successful. Then Jeff was not licensed, was a very successful lawyer.
But anyway, so he goes to court. He immediately butts head with the judge. He's held in contempt for his appearance, his language, his lack of decorum. Like during one of the spiels the judge gave, in my head, it started playing that one part of Euphoria by Kendrick Lamar, where he's just like, "I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk." Like,
that's good.
Yeah, look, like it's just like everything about him. He walked in expecting it to be like, all right, everyone's a dumb hick, I'm gonna charm them, and then the judge is like, no, you have to follow decorum, which is also the decorum in almost every court in America. Yeah, which also I have to say, so there's a part of the movie where Vinny refers to Bill and Stan as 2 youths, and he says it with his accent, so it's 2 youths, and Judge is like, 2 what? And at first I was just like, haha. Here's the thing, I'm born and raised in New Jersey. Immediately afterwards, I realized I also pronounce it that way.
You say youths?
Here's the thing, in that context, where I would say 2 youths, I realized just like, oh yeah, 2 youths is like just like less strong of an accent. But if I were to say like youthful, then I'm pronouncing the TH. It's something about that THS that trips me up.
The 2 youths.
Yeah, so anyway, in like the pre-trial stuff, Stan loses faith, gets a public defender, but then at the beginning of the trial, Vinny does a great job cross-examining the first witness. So Stan's like, all right, this guy's a bum, I'm back to Vinny. And Vinny is doing really well in the trial. He's discredited pretty much every witness and is like building a really good case. He's getting his act together. But then the prosecution pulls in their expert, who basically says like, yeah, there's no way it couldn't have been their car fleeing the murder scene. And he thinks he's screwed. But then last second, Vinny puts Lisa on the trial, who is a car expert because her father and her father's father and her father's father's father owned an auto shop. And she's able to prove that there's no possible way it could have been their car. And they even find the guys who did it. Bill and Stan are declared innocent, and everyone gets to go home.
You forget they're kept awake basically the entire trial.
Yeah, there's a running joke that like anytime they go to sleep, like outside the hotel, there's always something new that just wakes up Vinny at an extremely unreasonable hour. There's like a train, a crow, and then like one time when he's held in contempt and heading to jail, he's just like, nah, I'm just gonna sleep in jail. And he just and it's like the jail's loud, but it's like that consistent loud where if you live in New York, you're used to it. So he's just like, yeah, slept like a baby.
Oh, I thought it was that he actually felt good about himself, so he's able to get some sleep.
Oh, I read that joke as like, oh, he's used to the noise in New York.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, so My Cousin Vinny was written by Dale Launer, who also wrote the films Ruthless People and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and he consulted a lot of lawyers for courtroom accuracy. And one thing he found out is that a lot of times specific courtroom proceedings are not taught in law schools. So he's like, that's actually perfect for Vinny. And it was directed by Jonathan Lynn, who also directed the film Clue. And he apparently cast Marisa Tomei as Lisa after visiting the set of Oscar by John Landis, where she had a minor role. And he met with her, decided she would be perfect for Lisa. And this movie came out March 19th, 1992 on a budget of $11 million. It made $64.1 million at the box office. It currently holds a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb and an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. And of course, this film is widely considered one of the most accurate portrayals of courtroom trial Hollywood has ever made, to the point a lot of law professors will use clips of this movie as examples of different things, like introducing evidence and examining a witness.
I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, it's crazy that like it's often like comedies that get it right, because I know a lot of times when doctors are asked about the most accurate medical show, Scrubs comes up a lot.
Yeah, it's never House. And it's never Grey's Anatomy either.
Yeah, it's like, what? Not every hospital just has a mean doctor that can look at you and diagnose you with an extremely rare illness.
You're telling me that the hospital hasn't been blown up 17 different times? Yeah, doctor, how many times have you had to treat a patient while you were handcuffed to their rib cage? None. It's not what Grey's Anatomy says. I saw it on The Pit last week.
Yeah, it's like everyone imagines extreme accidents like that happening at a doctor. It's just like no, someone just comes in with internal bleeding. We know how to do that. And like also based on video rental sales, it's considered one of the most rewatched movies of the 90s.
As it should be.
Yeah, which is a nice stat to have. I guess now we just have streaming numbers.
Yeah, it's very quaint.
Yeah, I don't know. Kids these days don't know what it's like to just go into a Blockbuster and have to pick the family movie.
I feel like there's people who talk about that. They're like, oh man, like Blockbuster, that was the time. But also, I remember when Blockbuster died, and us being like, yeah, it's probably the most reasonable choice to happen. We could just get like 19 DVDs in the mail.
Yeah, and now Netflix doesn't even do that, which I have an uncle that did Netflix DVD rentals until they stopped doing it.
Didn't they just sell it or like spin it out into a company called DVD.com?
No, I think they said they were going to do that at some point, and they were like, that's a bad idea.
I used to have GameFly. And they did that with games.
I remember like trying to convince my mom to get a GameFly account. She was like, no. Like, why would I do this?
All right, you want to move on to Damage?
Okay, yes. So the performance we are putting up against Marisa Tomei is going to be Miranda Richardson for Damage, which is about a British politician who starts an affair with his son's fiance. At the very beginning of the movie, Stephen, a British minister, meets Anna, who's dating his son, Martin. They're instantly attracted to each other and start an affair. Like, I think literally right after Martin brings her home, he just goes to her place and they have sex. Which I have to say, this movie has the weirdest sex scenes.
Thank you. Oh my God. So the opening sex scene between them, she's like coming, but he's doing no pumping at all. So I was just like, what is this soaking ass sex scene? Like,
yeah, and it's like the way he's supposed to be, like, I get. Because like he's still fully clothed, I assume. So I I assume he's supposed to like unzip his zipper and whip it out. It's like, given the motions, like I'm not sure that he did that.
No, he didn't. Yeah, all of the sex scenes were like,
yeah, it's like it's like sex scenes later on in the movie. They are fully naked, but still just as weird.
Yeah,
and it's like this isn't us being like. Oh, we're just not into that. I have never seen a sex scene where two people give it their all to look uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like because while I was watching this, at some point I texted you, it's just like, this feels like The Room with better acting. I think the writer of this movie has had more interactions with humans than Tommy Wiseau. I think the director has had sex as many times as Tommy Wiseau. I think like, you know how with intimacy coordinators being a thing, a lot of older actors are like, well, we didn't have it on this set. Like, this is one of those things where I don't think an intimacy coordinator would have allowed it simply because it doesn't look intimate.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they don't need an intimacy coordinator. They just needed like one teenage boy on set being like, that doesn't look right, and I've never even had sex.
Yeah. Like, this is one of those things where it's just like with stunts, you have a stunt coordinator to make sure it's safe, but also make sure it looks good. Like, this is something where it's like, yeah, intimacy coordinator would have made this look a lot better.
Yeah, there's just something about it where I'm just like, y'all, this isn't worth it. Like, or like, I get why you're fucking your son's girlfriend. You're just a weirdo. Like, you're a big loser. If I were the wife, I would have been like, good. She can have your weird, overly stationary sex.
Yeah, because I think like part of the implication of this movie is that like he and his wife aren't having that much sex anymore. It was like, well, if it's like that, then yeah, if it's like that, I don't understand how you have two kids.
She's like, honey, I need you to pump a little more. And also, every time that you do move, could you not smash my head against the wall? Because at one point, he's literally just taking her head and going like, bam, bam, bam. Like, but not like he's fucking her so hard. Just like, he's like, I'm hitting you. It's
it's like, I guess someone somewhere out there is into that, but she did not appear to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we? They start an affair. Martin gets a promotion. They have a dinner to celebrate, and Ingrid, Steven's wife, who is played by Miranda Richardson, she starts to get suspicious about like Anna's general presence and starts to poke around. During the dinner, Anna tells them how her brother committed suicide over love when he was 16. After dinner, Steven goes to Anna's place. They have sex again. After sex, Anna reveals it. Her brother took his own life because he wanted her as like an incestuous thing, but couldn't have her. So they continued the affair, going to even more lengths to see each other. Then Martin announces he and Anna are engaged. And so the whole family goes to visit Anna's mom. She openly hates the marriage. And at some point in the conversation, she says, Martin looks like Anna's dead brother.
Yep.
Which, I'll be honest, best scene of the movie. Like, because like this was a pretty humorless movie. That scene cracked me up.
The scene that had me cracking up is when the son's talking to his dad, and he's like, yeah, she's just got this like other side to her that you would know nothing about. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think dad only knows the other side. But yeah, I'll be honest, if I was dating a girl and her parents told me I looked like her dead brother, I'd be mortified.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to get over that.
Yeah, no, because Because I remember last year I was on like a third date with a girl. Her nephews came up. She showed me a picture of like her brother and his family. Later on, it's just like, oh, thank God I don't look like that guy. All right, but during that conversation, Anna's mother does like suspect the affair, tells Steven he needs to end it. He initially does, but then Anna sends him keys to an apartment Martin isn't supposed to know about. So they go there, and while they're going at it, Martin finds the apartment and finds them in the middle of it. And while he's in shock, he falls over a railing and dies. And Steven's life falls apart because of all the press coverage. He's forced to resign. Ingrid kicks him out. Like in this whole rant, Miranda Richardson delivers, basically questioning if he ever loved her. And in the end, he is all alone. Now, this is based on a 1991 novel of the same title by Josephine Hart. It was directed by Louis Malle, who also did My Dinner with Andre, and written by David Hare, who also wrote The Reader and The Hours. It came out in the US December 12th, 1992, and on a budget of $11 million, it made $31 million at the box office. It currently has a 6.7 on IMDb and an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That feels like an accurate score.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, considering the kind of movies that get nominated for Oscars, I could watch this and understand, like, yeah, this was up the Oscars alley.
Yeah. That was the general vibe I got from it. I did not like the movie. I just, like, it felt overly pretentious.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, when people say like, I don't care about the Oscars, I hate those movies anyways, like, this is one of those movies.
This is like the type of movie they talk about negatively on Fox News when they're talking about. They're like, it's only movies about like diversity and inclusion, or it's sick movies about men who want to fuck their son's husband, and it's the ill values of Hollywood.
I feel like if this movie came out now, Fox News would love it because like a lot more liberal people would find it like kind of weird. Like, it'd be one of those movies where there's like there's enough men that secretly want to be in Steven's position where they have an affair with a younger woman.
Not with the son. No one wants to fuck their son's partner, I feel like. That's crazy.
I feel like you shouldn't. At the same time, there's probably a reality show that revolves around this.
Oh God, that'd be.
I mean, there is a show called Dated and Related, so I feel like this isn't too far of a stretch.
Okay. Yep.
So now it's time for our opening statements. Chris will be defending Marisa Tomei's win, and I will be arguing it should have gone to Miranda Richardson.
This was the 1993 awards, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Just 1993 is the year that at the Academy Awards, movies had their say. Marisa Tomei winning the Academy Awards is recognition of all the moviegoers who couldn't tell you a single thing about cinematography or frame composition. It is a film for the average man, and it's perfect. Tomei gave a courtroom testimony on par with Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men. But why won't it be recognized as such? Why? Because it's a comedy, a category that has been categorically disrespected by the Academy since its inception. My main argument was that it deserved more. This is a Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress level of quality in a film.
Miranda Richardson was rightly on her way to have her name etched in Oscars history until it was stolen by Brooklyn's own Marisa Tomei. She cemented herself as being what the Academy Awards are all about, only to walk away with nothing.
Yeah, I'm just going to start off. Regarding damage, in the great words of Joe Pesci, This whole thing is a load of bullshit. It's a bullshit plot. It's the bullshit. It's art house for art house sake.
Okay, but isn't the fact that it is bullshit shit actually make it more impressive that the acting carried it? Because like this, despite like a lot of the writing, like especially Miranda Richardson in her end performance, was still able to carry themes of kind of a midlife crisis and questioning, and it was able and like a large part of her performance was building up to like the ultimate idea that he would have done this with anybody.
Are you talking about the last monologue she had?
Yeah,
that was a good monologue. I'll give you credit for that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if this survived on its acting. I thought it was like solid acting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, both performances have like a noble scene monologue towards the end, and comparing like Marisa Tomei's courtroom scene versus the "Did you ever love me" monologue. Miranda Richardson had to control the scene a lot more than Marisa Tomei did. Because with Marisa Tomei, while she's great, it was largely guided by Joe Pesci's character. Because the way they frame it, he already knows how this is gonna play out before anyone else. He just needs her to say the right thing.
Yeah, I could see that point, but I also think Marisa Tomei did sort of the opposite with the rest of her performance, where she managed to have such a commanding performance in every scene, but without like taking over the scene. She was supportive without being a cheerleader, and she was a ball buster without being like a cold-hearted bitch. She always had agency within the story.
Yeah, I mean yes, I agree. Like she was able to stand out in all her scenes. I would argue Miranda Richardson added to it. She just was not given as many scenes or as much screen time.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I kind of blanked out and just forgot what she was doing in the beginning of the movie, which isn't really. Like I had to go back and do my 3 things, and I was just like, what did she do for the first like 60% of the movie? She just like kind of chilled out and acted like the mother. I feel like she got to thrive when the context was built around her, but she wasn't memorable in any other scene than that.
Well, I think because part of Damage, the idea is that their marriage feels mundane. So I feel like her performance was more peeling back the layers of that. Like she's supposed to start very boring and mundane, and then it gradually builds to her end monologue where you kind of like understand that there is more. At least she feels there's much more to this marriage than he sees, because there's small things like the dinner they had to celebrate their son's promotion, where she like pokes and progs at Anna, but doesn't outright say anything, and then the dinner with the mother. Like I would say it's a performance that just required a lot more subtlety.
Okay, I'll give you a subtle performance, but that doesn't make it better. Just because you can pull off subtlety doesn't rise it above like a great performance that didn't need to be subtle.
Okay. Well then let me ask you this, because in both films we have a relationship that sees progression. In My Cousin Vinny, Lisa and Vinny is established early on. They've been engaged for a while. The big thing holding them back is like Vinny has to win his first case. Like, what would you argue is how Marissa Tomei, her performance builds on that relationship.
I don't know if it really builds on it. I think it's more she's the rock as he builds on himself. I was trying to like put it into words, and oh my God, where did I write this down? It's kind of like going in when the movie starts, out of the two of them, she's the one that actually knows stuff. Like she understands cars. She understands Joe Pesci. And he's just kind of like flying by the seat of his pants. And that is the case all the way through. There wasn't so much progression as she was the manipulator in the background, making sure that everything actually got done. And as it goes on, her agency, where she's taking direct action, is actually going up.
Yeah, I would definitely argue like she came off as a smart one, because there is that one scene where like Vinny comes back from meeting with the other lawyer, and he's just like, I got him to give me the evidence, and she's just like, I read 3 pages of your law book. He had to do that. Did you know that? Yeah, but yeah, she definitely had agency and used it. That said, it's like, what character development did she go through? Because she already starts off knowing everything, as opposed to like Miranda Richardson, who's like going through a marriage that falls apart.
Does character development dictate whether a performance is good?
I feel
like that's more of a writing question.
I don't think it's the sole determination. I think a great performance should definitely add to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think that the writing and just Marissa sold the character of Lisa so well. You understood exactly who she was. You understood what she wanted, and then she got it all done in the end.
Well, yeah, because and also, like, as history serves, the Academy just also loves young, loud white women. With Jennifer Lawrence for Silver Linings Playbook, Mikey Madison for Nora. If you're a 20-something white woman in an Oscar-nominated movie and you got to scream a lot, there's a good chance you're walking home.
Okay, look, I think there's another aspect to it that you're missing. I don't know if it's so much there's a whiteness playing into it, but it's also everyone just loves a foul-mouthed New York woman. That's the Mikey Madison, Marisa Tomei connection. You fall in love with them. That's who you want. Her performance was so good. Oh my God. I'd cut off my hand to be with Marisa Tomei.
I'm also pretty sure Marisa Tomei is just from Brooklyn. So,
yeah, it's perfect. She knew to play into her. She knew to like go right down she didn't have to do too much.
I'm looking up now. Yeah, she's Italian American, born in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
So like, I think that also calls into question, like, how much is it acting if you're just like being kind of how you are?
Look, I don't know anything about what's the actress's name again who was in Damage.
Miranda Richardson.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Miranda Richardson.
I mainly know she's British. Also, like,
do we know that she's not British and married to a diplomat and also got cheated on?
Also, like, so Miranda Richardson also that was like her big year, because that year she was also nominated for Best Actress for a different movie, and. So it's like, yeah, she had such a massive year to just not walk away with like the big recognition.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean she deserved it.
I mean, but this is the Oscars. We can, people get legacy awards all the time, and like, in terms of legacy awards, I would say this would have been a better one than, say, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I don't know if where are you saying for Miranda is a legacy win?
Yeah.
that doesn't mean she should get it. Legacy wins are bullshit.
Okay, but we're talking about the Oscars. It's all a little bit bullshit.
Okay, well then if anything can be anything, then you can make any argument whatsoever. All I'm telling you is that watching My Cousin Vinny for the last 3/4 of it, I was standing up in front of the television. And for Damage, I was just like, oh, this film insists upon itself. I feel like it just feels like over the top. There's so many lingering shots. There was a film of lingering shots.
Yes, there are a lot of lingering shots. I will agree. I think like Damage violates like one like the screenwriting 101 rule of enter late, leave early. So basically, don't leave any part of the scene that is unnecessary. I think it violates that a lot. That said, I think watching it is like I was also getting out of it, but like her speech at the end just tied everything together. I think if you watch her specifically, she adds so much small stuff that normally would get focused on, but for whatever reason the director and editor chose they didn't, and I think she made things work as much as they can, because that's also one thing. Like you are gonna have a greater performance with great writing and great directing. What about the people that managed to put on a good show with absolutely nothing?
Okay, here's the other thing about Damage. I just forgot Brioche. Who's the main actress? Brioche? Anna?
Yeah, that is Juliette Binoche.
Binoche. I was so dead fixed on her. She did a really good job in her acting performance, so I completely forgot about Miranda. And also, she had just that haircut. Oh my God. We watched 2 movies in a row with just gorgeous young women. 80s Italian look, and then the short. I was just so enraptured by Bioche. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Your guess to pronounce her name is as good as mine. We should have looked this up before the
Anna.
podcast.
I was so enraptured by Anna, I completely forgot about the wife for so much of the movie. And then at the very end, I was like, oh man, that was a really good monologue. Which I'm guessing that's what happened to every single voter.
I feel like getting more wrapped up in the mistress to the point you forget about the wife is antithetical to the movie. The thing. Also, just to comment on this, it shows that earlier. So, the running idea on how Marisa Tomei won is between Miranda Richardson and the 2 other people leading the pack. They just split the votes. So it's like all the people that would usually vote for one of them were divided, and that opened the way for Marisa Tomei.
Good. Something good finally happened at the Oscars. Tomei really pulled you into the relationship she had with Pesci. I really understood their relationship in a way that I wanted to be a part of it. If you told me that I could have been Marisa Tomei and Joe Pesci's kid, I would have been happy to do it. They seem like a really happy couple.
Just loud woman and a short king. I feel like we see that in Brooklyn everywhere.
This movie is for people who want soundtrack rather than single malingering instruments carrying on in the background. That's who this win is for.
Okay, that was one thing I thought while watching Damage. I was just like, did they actually pay a composer for the music? There was so little music.
It was like The Godfather, but like even less.
Yeah. It's like the music was due at midnight. The guy didn't have anything except a recording of him like falling asleep on the keyboard.
Yeah, let's get into three things.
Okay. So now it's time for our concessions. This is where I say three reasons why Marisa Tomei deserved to win, and Chris gives three reasons why Miranda Richardson was snubbed.
You want to go first?
Yeah. Courtroom scene was absolutely great. And I think as much as I talked about the subtlety of Miranda Richardson's performance, I think that was one where it fit the story and character for Marisa Tomei to just draw all the attention and use it, and that's what she did.
Miranda's monologue at the end was really good. It kind of capstoned this entirely sad plot. Or like not sad, but I guess just like emotional, dramatic. She was the voice of the audience.
Yeah.
Of just being like, this is stupid, you know? You should have killed yourself, right? Like,
my next concession, most actors agree comedy is so much harder than drama. And I think that this kind of encapsulated it, like it's because I think one thing that really makes My Cousin Vinny so great is the fact that like Vinny and Lisa are out there as characters, but they still feel like people you could run into.
Yeah,
and I think capturing that is a very fine line that Marisa Tomei did perfectly.
They avoided like stereotypes to a certain extent, or they made the stereotypes of Italians from Brooklyn feel very lived in.
Yeah.
She played the forgotten woman very well. As I said, I completely forgot she was in the movie for the first like half of it, which is kind of what she was going for, I guess. I had trouble writing these. Yeah. Don't give me that look, Belton.
All right. My last concession. The whole performance honestly was just iconic and very memorable, and like, and it's like a solid Oscar win that aged incredibly well.
She did a good portrayal of a woman who lost her son. That was very believable. Good crying. I had so much trouble about this.
Yeah, you just gave up and it's like, here's a plot point. All right, closing statements.
You wanna?
Yep. All right, now it's time for our closing statements. While Tomei's performance is better remembered, Richardson deserved the gold for her performance at the time. She had the monumental task of captivating the audience with boring material, which is really what the Oscars are all about.
This was classic. This was a classic case of film versus movie, and for once in the Academy's history, the movie won. Tomei showed the world her acting chops, and she was appropriately rewarded. 1 out of 1 correctly awarded awards.
So any thoughts about this year's Oscar heading into the ceremony?
The Long Walk should be Best Picture. And she wasn't even nominated.
Honestly, I was hoping David Johnson would get some awards recognition for his role. It would have been cool to see him.
Yeah, that movie was haunting. How did that not get nominated? What happened?
I don't know. The thing is, so usually like during this period, I try to see all the nominees, but like I've been going through stuff. I have not been. The Oscars need to nominate more feel good, fun movies because I just have not been in the mood to watch something called Sentimental Value. Like I think Hamnet is about like Hamlet's dead kid. I don't feel like watching that either. I didn't go see Marty Supreme because I didn't want to see Kevin O'Leary's face. I'm hoping Sinners wins as many awards as it can. Timothy Chalamet, his campaign's just been annoying, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, like, his campaign seems to be in the boat of like, I deserve a legacy Oscar because I've been putting out good work for so long. It's like, to say that when you're only 30 is insane.
Yeah, he's young. He just like, yeah, he's coming off as like kind of unlikable as of recent.
Yeah, it's like, it's now to a point people are wondering. It's just like, oh, is he just talking his way out of an Oscar? Because that's also the thing, like with legacy Oscars, it's like they happen because someone's been in the industry for so long and they have a good reputation that a lot of Oscar voters are like, you know what, I met them, I like them, so it's like, yeah, they deserve an award.
Look, if Adam Sandler didn't get Best Actor for Uncut Gems, then Chalamet definitely doesn't get it for Marty Supreme. At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uncut Gems was like, I hated it, but it was really good. Like, it just stressed me out too. I've never had such a stressful experience. I was sweating.
Yeah, no, because I remember in December I went to see Rental Family starring Brendan Fraser, and it's like, that was a feel good movie. That was great. Why couldn't that get nominated? I would watch that movie again.
All right, is that, yeah.
All right, and yeah, this has been Film versus Movie, the Oscar special. If you like the show, be sure to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen. And if you have a movie you think we should debate, feel free to fill out a submission. The link will be in the episode description, as well as all of our social bios. I'm Belton Delane Facey,
And I'm Chris Scher.
and we will see you all next time.